Do people stereotype you because of your Southern accent that you're just like a Trumper and you're
what usually happens, they're kind of subtle about it, but I know for a fact that's what's happening. It's the way it usually goes. If people hear immediately, as soon as they hear my accent, like, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from Tennessee originally. And then if they then go like, oh man, I love Tennessee. I've been thinking about moving to Tennessee, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, if they say that, I usually know that they're about to start like testing the waters with some of their MAGA
They do not
shit,
like Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, exactly.
They are not Gavin Newsom.
It's like, man, all these goddamn homeless around here. I swear to God, this fucking, nobody wants to work anymore. Crime all over the place, all that type of shit.
Saying like, I hate the blacks.
Exactly. They don't go that hardcore with it. Although a lady did hit me with that in Denver. She didn't say the black. Well, she said Black Lives Matter was ruining Denver,
which is
what
the
she
same,
told me. But and it was. I know that it's because they hear my accents, and then I say I'm from Tennessee, and they're like, this guy's probably cool.
All right, and we're live. Andy Frasco's World Save Podcast. I'm Andy Frasco, literally on vacation. Kind of. Touring's kind of like a vacation. I am in our bus. It's our first day back. We're playing Washington, D.C. tonight. Things have been fucking chaotic out here in Frasco world. But we're excited. We, with all the politics and shit going on in the world right now, we started to lighten the load a little bit. We got a comedian, and he's a liberal redneck, we call him, Trae Crowder. You're going to love this one, but it's been insane. I've been on the road since I got back off tour. I've been in Nashville for about 10 days, and then just doing press for Growing Pains. And I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who's been listening to it. I've been getting a lot of love for it, and I just can't thank you enough. Yeah, it's been fucking crazy. And then I got off that tour, a little run, and then I got asked to write some music for some country people, or with some country people, per se, and they've been calling me the kosher cowboy. I'm really proud. I'm working on a new EP in Nashville and stuff, and it's just been a lot. And I was realizing, I was getting a little burnt out a little bit, I'll be honest with you. But being burnt out's okay if you're doing what you love and knowing your body. Like I did 10 days. I was doing the studio in Nashville, and I was testing myself to see if I could write a song from out of nowhere and then so make a whole track in 8 hours. And I came out with 4 songs, and just kind of, I'm putting my shoulders down to know that I'm like a songwriter. So it made me happy that I could do that. And then I went there, and then I had to do Bert Kreischer's podcast and Leanne, which was cool. And now I'm in DC, and the Growing Pains tour starts. And so this is what I'm pretty excited about. All the shows have been selling incredibly well. There's a couple shitty turnouts. I don't remember what, but just buy some tickets online. Kind of spaced out today. I flew in last night, and sometimes, like, when I'm flying like longer than 3 hours, I start getting that anxiety back and stuff. I don't know. I don't like sitting still, as you know, for a long time. But I woke up in DC. We got the bus now, as you can tell. This is how I live out here on the road. There's who's in this bus right now? Anybody? Oh, no one's in here. Wow, first time ever. No one's in here. And we're starting our tour. I'm really excited. We're playing all the new songs, which is cool, and trying to get to it. But I promise I'll give you a new update. I know I've been like super busy, and it's been kind of chaos with the podcast, but I haven't forgotten my podcast people. I just want to say I love you. Enjoy this interview with Trae Crowder, and also our new sponsors, Gardenista. Yes, we just signed a new contract with Gardenista, and they're the best, actually. I like it because I could drink alcohol and feel kind of healthy. You know, they have it's a green juice alcohol, which is pretty rad, and they have different flavors. And I'm normally not a tequila guy or a vodka guy, nor just straight whiskey. But I've been growing to like cocktails a lot more, and this one I love when it's cold. It's delicious. It's like a green juice and something that you mix it with tequilas. It's a perfect summer drink. So grab yourself some Gardenista. Head over. You'll see the link on the bio. Check it out. And then volume.com. Only Frascos there. We're signing them. We're signing them, baby. There's a lot of people doing it, and I'm so stoked on it. It's crazy. These subscriptions, that's why I was in Nashville working on new things to try to, I don't know. I want to build the community of the subscription where it's not just typical live streams, typical, you just see our show. I want to show the underbelly of what it takes to be in an independent band. And, that's why I did that. I hope you guys checked out the, Nashville when we did our live at the vintage clothing store, Second Nature Vintage. And then I've been filming all these sessions of me writing these songs out of nowhere and producing them. And we'll be releasing those once a month. So, trying to give you as much bang for your buck. So head over to volume.com/Andy Frasco and get it popping. All right, guys, enjoy Trae Crowder. Next week, we have Nick. I see Nick next week, and we'll do a full update when I'm not so fucking scatterbrained and stuff. But this interview with Trae is awesome. Trae is hilarious. He's got a cool take on life where he's from the sticks of Tennessee, and he's got not a liberal, but he understands both sides of the spectrum, and especially with what's going on with the deportation and stuff. I thought this was the perfect time to get Trae on the podcast to kind of line up the seriousness of what's going on in the world, but also he has some good points because he understands both sides of the coin. When we live in this echo chamber, it's hard to see both sides, and I feel like the conversation we had brings light to that. And I hope you like it too. And also he's funny as hell. And get to know him as a person was really cool. Cause I've been admiring all his Instagram stuff forever. And he's blowing up right now. So it was nice for him to share sometime. All right, guys, I got to go play the 930 Club, but I love you. Stay safe. Stay happy. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do anything because they're wrong. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Work hard at your dreams. Stay inspired. Never let anyone tell you can't do anything because they're wrong. You can do everything, but save a little energy for yourself when you're burnt out. I think that's one thing that I've been realizing. I've been saving more energy for myself. That's why I haven't been getting burnt out as much. I'm working more than I've ever have, but when I'm feeling tired, I'm going to bed now. Or when I'm feeling tired, I'll just cancel something. I never used to do that. You're in control, people. And that's all I'm saying. So don't forget that you're in control. All right. I love you. Enjoy Trae. And I'll see you next week with Nick. And I haven't talked to Nick in a while, so I hope he's doing good. I'm kind of worried. He's gone rogue on me. So if you're hearing this, Nick, I love you. And I'm not firing you. All right. Bye.
Trae, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What's up, fellas?
You are our political advisor for the 2025 year on the Andy Frasco World Saving Podcast. We'd like to know what the fuck is going on with the country right now.
I mean, shit. I don't know. I can't. I'd sooner lasso the moon than try to appropriate that. Answer that question. A lot of bullshit. A lot of turbulence. No. Calm waters. Everything's fine. Everybody's doing good. Nobody's freaking out. Losing any sleep at night or nothing like that. But yeah, I don't know. Could be teetering on the brink of complete economic collapse. Who's to say? We'll just
there's only one way to find out.
See how it goes. Yeah, right. Keep moseying on. See what happens.
You have a different sense for the Southern. Where'd you grow up, Trae?
a town in Tennessee called Salina. It's I don't know if you so it halfway between Nashville and Knoxville, and up on the Kentucky line. So
yeah, right in the middle.
Like there's middle Tennessee, northeast middle Tennessee. It's so Tennessee's divided into east, middle, and west.
Yeah.
So it's the very northeastern part of middle Tennessee, and it's there's no traffic lights there, or McDonald's, or Walmart's, or hope for the future, or jobs, or anything like that. So.
There's not even a Walmart. Wow, they haven't come in to destroy the town yet.
Well, that would be redundant. There's no.
We can do that ourselves.
Bill Clinton destroyed the town. Bill Clinton and Big Pharma destroyed the town in the mid '90s. Walmart just ain't got no interest in it.
How'd you get out of there without being a real redneck?
I was always like the smart kid in my school, which I realized looking back is like being the straightest guy at a Cher concert. It's not that, it's not really that impressive, but at the time I thought I was hot shit. I thought I was like Goodwill Hunting when I graduated high school. I thought it was like a literal prodigy. Yeah, and so and I'm not at all. I'm not even really that smart, but I thought I was. Growing up, and so I was always more into book. My dad also owned a video store in our small town. It was just a converted single wide trailer with a bunch of VHSs in it that he rented. But so I was more well read. I liked books, and I liked movies with subtitles and all that gay shit. I loved all that, and so I was just always kind of different in that. Plus, I didn't grow up in church because my dad was also godless. He was like a godless, long-haired, dope-smoking, jean jacket redneck guy, and he so I didn't grow up in church. He was real, rock and roller type dude, and so I didn't grow up Christian or anything, and I was into all this other stuff, and so I was just kind of different the whole time I was there. Right. I knew I was one of those people in a town like that. Like as a kid, I just was basically counting the days until I could leave forever. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm from Indiana. I have the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I grew up in LA. I had the same thing. What's that? What do you? What do you?
Oh, really?
Yeah. What do you think that is? Why do we always want to leave the hometown?
I don't know. Well, in my experience, I think it's something to do with the type of person, and I don't know if it's just how you're wired. Because, in my experience in small towns, there's two types of people. Really, there's the type of people I guess we all are, the people who can't wait to leave. But then there's the people who never ever leave and have no intention on leaving, and then so and I don't know what the difference is. Like my wife is from a different small town in Tennessee. It's 4 hours away, but culturally it's the exact same place. And we live in Los Angeles actually with our sons. But she's from a huge redneck family in Wayne County, and every other single member of her family lives within a 5-mile radius of each other. Oh yeah. In the town that she grew up in. And then she's the lone weirdo out here on the coast. But it's just one or the other. I feel like you either have no interest in going anywhere somehow, or you are possessed of a certain wanderlust, or even if it's I don't even think I have wanderlust necessarily, but I just wanted to get the hell out of there.
It could be anywhere.
Yeah, it could have been anywhere.
Yeah, just one place.
Exactly. Yeah, that's heads Carolina, tails California. That's sing a song. It's like that. It was my anthem growing up.
Sounds like a Sturgill Simpson song.
Yeah, sounds like a Sturgill Simpson song. So what's the difference between did you have what was your childhood like? Was your any drug problems in the family?
Yeah.
What? Like meth or what?
No, not great, buddy. But well, I mean, my dad was awesome. In terms of he was there, and he was a very loving father and all that. But I mean, we were, like I said, my whole town, not just my family, my whole community got absolutely decimated in the 90s because literally, I said Bill Clinton, but whoever was the president would have signed NAFTA, but it happened to be Bill Clinton. But then NAFTA, it was signed, and the factory in my hometown left, and the economy crashed, and that happened at the same time that OxyContin got introduced, and that was during the era when doctors were literally telling people, because the doctors were being told by the pharmaceutical companies that, this is a miracle drug that's not addictive and all this stuff. And it was way out of hand before anybody even really knew what was going on. And all that happened at the same time. So it was a perfect whirlwind. Like my mama got hooked on pills, and she also was selling them. She got caught because she wasn't the shrewdest criminal, and she went to jail multiple times. And she wasn't around really when I was a kid. And then I multiple cousins, my aunt, one of my uncles, multiple first cousins have, died over the years. My mom's still around and out of jail and clean for now, but she's still wild as hell in other ways. But and my dad was great, but he liked to party. He was a drinker and a weed smoker, but he was still a really good dad. But then he got sick, and then he ended up. He died when I was in my 20s. But so
how tough was that?
Darkness.
How tough was that as someone he was like he was the family figure in your life, and at 20, it's a hard time to see your dad pass away.
Yeah, well, in my 20s, I was 26, I think, specifically. Yeah. But still, it was pretty, it definitely wasn't a breeze, but I had, I'm white trash. I had kids early, so I had two little boys at that time. They were my oldest, they're 13 months apart. So at the time my dad died, my oldest son was like a year and a half, and the other one was like a little bitty baby, like a newborn. And so I didn't have kind of the luxury of allowing it to fuck me up too much. Don't get me wrong, it still fucked me up. I definitely was like drinking a lot after the kids went to bed and that type of thing. But like I couldn't, like it really derailed my little sister for a little while, for sure, when our dad died. But like I had babies, so I had to keep my shit together at least somewhat,
Did you ever get the pills or coke or anything?
No, I've done at various times just about everything. Well, no, they got all kinds of wild ass drugs, but I've done both pills and coke over the years, but not really. Honestly, I've always been kind of disappointed in cocaine. I've only ever gotten bad shit, but I've always found it to be like overhyped in my opinion.
Yeah.
But pills are pretty great. But I've seen enough to know better than to fuck with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, but those, I get how people lose their teeth and family and everything, because getting hooked on them. Cause those are sure do make you feel good. But
what do you think people, what do you think attracts people to pills? Like they're just trying to get away?
The story at the time, like what my mom said, and again, my mom says a lot of shit, but the way she tells the story is a very common story that a lot of people have from that era in that region, is that she was working at the factory that was soon to disappear. And while she was working there, she hurt her back working at the factory. She went to the doctor with a, back problem. And he said, there's this new miracle drug, called OxyContin or whatever, that's like, will treat your pain, but you can't get addicted to it or whatnot. And he prescribed it to her, and then it was off to the races after that. And so it's like a lot of people really did get kind of tricked into it back then. Now, it's been proven at this point that the pharmaceutical companies targeted like kind of, sort of desperate and
low income sort of areas.
Areas that are, not possessed of a surplus of hope or anything like that. So
they're just drugging them.
And so people are, they just want any kind of release or something. Even if you do know that it's addictive and bad, it's like better than this, when you're in a place like that, look around. So just a lot of reasons. Plus, like I said, man, it makes you fucking feel good.
It does feel amazing. Yeah.
What about do you think that same philosophy is happening with the state of our government right now? Like people have I'm trying to curious how we got to this point in our society.
Yeah, well, I don't know about if it's the same philosophy, but I think there's like It's related to all of that because I mean, when my hometown, the county that I'm from, Clay County, Tennessee, in every election, every general election up through up until 2004 was a blue county. Like it went for Al Gore in 2000. It was always like a blue county prior to that. Now it's like, one of the most heavily tilted in MAGA's favor, counties in the state of Tennessee. And it's because of or it's at least in part because of all that shit that we just talked about that happened there to those people. Yeah. They're fucking upset about it. Right. And I get that. Now, I don't get why they believe Donald Trump is actually going to do anything to, ameliorate any of that stuff. But he's like, they were in desperate need of a champion of any kind. And then he showed up and pretended to be that, and people bought into it. I think it's very fucking complicated, and there's a lot more to it than just that. But I think at least in towns like mine, that's a big element of it. Yeah.
Why do you think Donald Trump specifically was so effective at that compared to other Republican candidates?
I was just yesterday, I was talking to another guy about that. That has confounded me from the very beginning because it's not like Donald Trump came out of nowhere in 2016. Donald Trump had been famous for being a rich douchebag for 40 years before that, right? Or 30 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, he was a known thing, and I know that none of them would ever admit it now, but I know for a fact that before Donald Trump got really into politics and came after Obama and stuff, before that happened, every redneck in my hometown would have classified him as a, blue blood, silver spoon Yankee who thinks he's better than everybody else and
which he is.
Everybody else and needs his ass whipped. I know, but I'm saying they hate. He was the exact type of carpetbagger asshole that they hated more than anyone on earth, right? Like a big city rich guy like that, and they, he was not their type of guy, and then suddenly he's their God King, and I mean. I don't. All I could figure is, like I said, he was saying the right things at the right time, and he was the only one saying them. And also he was say whatever you want about him. He fucking broke the mold politically. No other politician had ever been or has ever been like Donald Trump in that way. And I guess it was a breath of fresh air to them. He was talking shit. He was saying things you're not supposed to say, and it was just, he was talking shit about the politicians that these people blamed for everything that happened in their lives and going after them. And they were just I don't know. It just worked. But I still think that that's wild that it did work in spite of all that.
Insane.
But what about, you grew what changed your way of thinking liberally coming through these, I guess it was a blue town your whole life. But were you getting flack for when you started posting those videos about fuck, what was give me some of that heat.
Oh, I mean, I think mostly a pariah in my hometown. Really.
Interesting.
Because if you drive into my hometown and it's there's a sign on the way in. There's two signs. There's a big sign when you get into Clay County, and then there's another sign when you get into Salina, Tennessee. And when you get into Clay County, it says "Welcome to Clay County." At least it did for years. I don't know if they've changed the sign now, but for years it said "Welcome to Clay County, home of the world record smallmouth bass." Right, which is true, but that was caught in Del Hollow Lake there. And then when you get into the town, it says, "Welcome to Salina, Tennessee, home of the 1994 National Marbles Champion." Right.
Yeah.
And I got a buddy who's an aspiring actor in LA, and he's been in some network procedurals, NCIS, and that type of thing. He's a big ex-Marine guy. And that anytime he's in something like that, it's we have a small newspaper in my hometown. It's front page news. When we got a Subway sandwich shop in my hometown, it was front page above the fold news. So I'm saying all this to say, my existence has never been acknowledged in the newspaper of my hometown. So they've never wrote good or bad. They haven't shit talked me either, but they've not even I've been on HBO multiple times and all this shit. And I don't care. I'm just saying there's definitely a reason for it.
Right.
Is that they're not, if they were on board with me, they would be lauding me all the time because there's not a lot going on there.
Right.
You're
the most famous.
Does that offend you?
So that would be that would be a thing. Do what?
Does that offend you? We all want love in our hometown, you know?
Yes, kind of. It sort of does because it's like, because there's a lot of people that like people I grew up with, people that I know feel like betrayed by it or whatever. But the people who know me, like I said earlier, like I was always the kind of like weirdo sort of, lefty-ish kid, even in high, like I was always that way. And they knew that. And they just sort of like either rolled their eyes at it or shrugged it off. Or it's like, oh, that's just Trae for you. But they were still my friends though. But I don't know why any of them would ever be surprised by the shit that I say, and I feel like it's disingenuous when they act surprised by it or upset by it.
Right.
But and then like they also like ABC Nightline or one of those shows did a little segment about my hometown and me, and they filmed it in my hometown, and everybody in Salina got real mad about that because they said it like I made the town look bad in that segment, and I was like, no, I think the cameras made the town look bad because they captured how it looks.
Yeah, it's the HD of it all.
Yeah, like that's not my fault, But anyway, so people got upset about shit like that. So yeah, it's just, it's a whole thing. But since my Meemaw died last year, I don't really have much. My sister and my estranged mother, my sister, who I love very much, lives in a town called Cookville, 45 miles away, which is like, it's like an actual town. Like it's got like fucking chain restaurants and a college and shit. So it's not so bad. She lives there. And now that Meemaw is gone, like I don't know that I might not ever go back to Salina is what I'm saying. Like it's very possible. I don't really have anybody left there.
Nothing's drawing you there.
Do you have friends out there still or no?
Yeah, I've still got some of my best friends in the world still live in the region. They live in the Upper Cumberland, but they don't live in actual Salina, and that's what I mean. So like they all live sort of around Cookville. Everybody go like
you go to the big city.
If you don't go to like an actual big city off somewhere like I did, but you still want to get the hell out of Salina, you go to Cookville. And so that's where most of my good friends and my sister and everybody, they live in Cookville, actually.
Interesting.
And that's where I went to college. So I love Cookville's great. So I'll definitely, go back there and see people.
Tennessee Tech.
So what were Christmas
Tennessee
like
Tech.
when you started popping off, talking your shit about the town, and you're like, oh fuck, here's Trae walking in the streets.
Christmas? Well, the thing, to get my family has been in shambles since before I got known or got a following. Like I was doing stand up, but like that. First of all, to be clear, if my family had been still together and everybody was alive and we were having holidays and stuff, they would have loved it. Like my Uncle Tim is still kicking, and he's my biggest fan. My sister loves it. My family is fully on board with it. My wife's family, my in-laws, they're great too. They're more apolitical. Like we just don't really talk about politics and that type of thing when we're at her house on the holidays. She has some extended family members, her aunt and uncles and stuff like that, who are, they're not fans of the whole thing, but they don't get in my face about it or nothing. Cause it's small town Southern shit. So it's like nobody's drinking or nothing. So it's like nobody's getting drunk and getting loosened up enough to start talking shit to the liberal queer nephew or whatever.
They don't drink at Christmas in the South, Andy.
They don't?
No.
Is that really a thing?
It's very much, in my experience, it's very much a thing. I've always sort of been a little jealous of, I know that sometimes it goes to shit, I've seen The Bear, but I've always been kind of jealous of like families in the Midwest or the Northeast, or I guess maybe out here too, that they all get together and they like party and have a good time. But in the South, you get together, you watch football games, and everybody loves each other. If you're lucky, that's all there. But like, there's no like part, and all these dudes, they all do drink. Like every man in my family was borderline fucking drunk, but like, but you don't do it in front of Meemaw or whatever type of thing.
They'll rip oxys instead.
Sure, yeah. Or it's like you just drink when like sort of in secret and or with your buddies down at the gas station where you hang out and stuff, but not with the family because that's like, I don't know, sacred or something. I don't know what it is, but people don't really do it.
It's very funny how Southern culture is this whole idea of like coming together, and then they're all just hiding their alcoholism. Yeah. You know, like,
oh yeah.
It's like, do you feel like it's fake? Like people are just,
yeah.
I think it's the point.
Just, but like, when you have conversations around town, like they're all being so nice to your face. And then you could tell they're talking shit.
The politeness.
Oh God. Yeah, man. Absolutely. It's like a known thing. Everybody knows, bless your heart is really shit talking. Everybody knows that now. The secret is out. But like in my hometown, there were, I remember my mom's friend had this t-shirt that she bought at like a local store in town that said it had like two women like sort of like with their hands in front of their mouth like they were whispering behind their hands like to each other. And it says, Salina, Tennessee, there ain't much to see, but what you hear sure makes up for it. And what that was referencing was that all the gossip, like it's like they're proud, they were proud of like at the time, the level of gossip and backstabbing shit talk and everything that went on around there. And it was like part of the culture. And, but again, face to face at the grocery store, it's like all smiles and, oh, honey, how are you? And all that. And it's like a lot of hypocrisy with, a lot of the churchgoers there. That's a known part of it too. There's like jokes about it. Like, why do you only ever go fishing with at least two Baptists, right? Because if you go with only one, he'll drink all your beer, right? So but if there's two, they won't drink in front of each other.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is all like very real stuff. So, it's definitely toxic in a lot of ways.
Is that why you wanted to get the fuck out of there? Because you're an honest guy?
I like to think that I am an honest guy, but I feel like a lot of, I said, I mentioned the church aspect. I feel like a lot of that comes from the Christianity part. It's like baked into like being a good Christian means you can't do this shit openly, but then people just do it anyway, but in secret. And I never had any of that because I didn't go to church. And so I always was bothered by that part of it. And I always thought that it was kind of bullshit, but also like, I just thought like I'm not supposed to be. I'm a cultured artiste. I'm a man of the world.
Tennessee Tech.
It's Tennessee. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Tennessee Tech graduate. Yeah. You got an MBA.
Yeah. Right. Yes, that's true. Yeah. But I just,
your LinkedIn.
I have a LinkedIn.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. I was like, I used to have a day job when I first started stand-up. I worked for the federal government, actually. So even if I'd stayed at that job, it'd probably be over about right now, I imagine. But anyway.
Liberal.
What's the difference between fakeness in the South and fakeness in LA?
It's funny you say that. I tried to do kind of a bit about that at one point, where it's like, because it is all
LA is just fake as fuck too, dude.
Yes, no, it is, but it's like I don't know. I feel like out here, a lot of the fakeness is more centered on like yourself, like the way people like, meaning like what you're doing and what you got. Everybody wants to talk about like some shit that they might do or hope to do or whatever, or, and like that type of thing, or like try to make themselves out to be a bigger deal than they are, or that kind of fakeness where it's like in the South, there's no, I don't know. It's not really about that. It's just about, thinking I'm a better person than you. Oh, right.
Like they want to stab you and bleed you out.
Not your career.
Not your career.
Not your career. Yeah. It's not a status thing. It's like I'm a morally speaking, or in the eyes of the Lord or whatever, I'm a better person than you. Yeah. And out here, it's like I'm doing better than you. But I don't know. That's an element. But I tried to like draw these parallels between LA and the South, because I tried to do this whole thing about how, and it's been a long time, so I'm going to butcher it now. But it was something like, in both places, there's huge chunks of people who live their entire lives under the delusional belief that a higher power is going to select them out of everyone else for something more, like some bigger existence or something like that, is trying to the whole like show business and Christianity and how they're both bullshit type of thing. But it literally never worked out here because either it wasn't that good or also it's just too close to home for people. I don't know. But, I didn't like being compared to fucking Baptist, when they're like,
right.
Like, no, we're artists. Those people are.
We're good people,
idiots.
but we're also going to talk shit behind your back, or we're also going to drink 100 beers at 6 o'clock when grandma's not looking.
But they're not as concerned with being Meemaw's favorite.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually true.
Yeah, what are you? So you're from here? You said
I grew up in West Hills, Calabasas. I'm in a band. So we're musicians. We tour. We do 250 shows a year. We're on the road for like every day. I left LA. Kind of the reason. The passive aggressiveness was insane. It's like this whole. They don't support you. They come out. They'll. Everyone is not listening to you. Everyone's one upping each other. It's just kind of. It was kind of.
They kind of don't want you to do well. Really.
Yeah, they don't want you to really.
Like if you're,
and they can't really hide it.
Yeah,
like when a dog has like
doing well, they feel worse about themselves or whatever, that type of thing.
This is why I'm fucked up, Nick.
Yeah,
this is why I'm fucked up.
Yeah, like rising tides do not lift all ships in LA. I guess.
Yeah, true.
No, but
they do.
Having said, and again, you already said you grew up here and you couldn't wait to get out. But it's like, for me, compared to Salina and everything that happened there, whatever, like this is fucking Elysium. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Like I made it. But I grew up in my dad's video store and stuff, like literally dreaming of moving to Los Angeles. So like,
tell me about that. Like what, when was the first dreams of you wanting to do this?
I mean, I never really wanted to do anything else. I didn't know what it meant to do this, but it's like I said, because I grew up in my dad's video store, I just always knew that I wanted to do, like I'd watch these movies and stuff, and it's like I wanted to do that, whatever that is. But then I was like, I mean, I know exactly when it became like comedy specifically. I was 12 because that was 1998 because it was Chris Rock's special Bigger and Blacker came out, and there's a bit on there. My mom was like in jail at the time or whatever. But Dad's raising us, and that's the special where Chris Rock has a bit on it about how everybody always talks about Mama and how great Mama is, and nobody gives a fuck about Daddy, and all Daddy gets is a big piece of chicken and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And my dad was just, loving that shit. And a lot of comedians have a similar story about like seeing their dad really crack up at something and really love some kind of comedy shit. And that's exactly what happened. I like that night, watching that, that's when I was like, okay, that specifically, I think I could do that or want to do that. So that was sort of the beginning of it. But that was when I was 12, and from that point on, I started keeping like notes of ideas that might work for comedy bits and stuff. But I didn't actually get around to trying it because I was even when I was in college at Cookeville, I was in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's no comedy club in Cookeville, or there wasn't even at that time. There weren't even any like open mics, like for anything, music or fucking poetry or comedy or nothing. So I didn't start until I got out of grad school and moved to Knoxville for that day job in 2010. And I was 24, and that's when I started. But by that time, I had a whole big backlog of things I wanted to try, and I'd spent my life like thinking about it. So I kind of hit the ground running pretty well with it.
So when you're holding all these jokes, you don't know if they're funny or not. How intimidating was the first time you went into like a comedy store?
Crazy. Like
give me that whole situation.
I didn't even know, even though I wanted to do comedy since I was a kid and I was a big comedy nerd and fan, I still didn't know. I was like, so what, you just go to the comedy club? And it's like, yeah, you do.
That's how you get there.
So I went to the comedy club in Knoxville, which is no longer there. It's called Side Splitters. They had I just went to a regular weekend of shows there first, and just watched it. And it was, great, super funny and all that. And then I looked around at the club and I saw like a sign or something they had up. I don't remember exactly where, for their open mic night. They had an open mic night, but it was, they only had 2 a month. Every other Wednesday they had an open mic night. And in Knoxville at that time, that was pretty much it. So like if you were starting, you had 2 nights a month where you could do it, but they had an open mic night. And I asked the manager, I was like, so did I just show up that night or what? And he was like, yeah, you could call and sign up or whatever. You could just come. And so I signed up for the next one, which was I went to like on a Saturday night, and it was the following Wednesday, and the 3-4 days, whatever in between them, like I don't know that I've slept like 3 hours total in those 3 days. Like I was absolutely nerve wracked because what you just said, I had more than enough. First of all, the open mics there, because it was like a small scene and everything. If I recall correctly, I think they were like 8-minute sets, which is pretty crazy.
That's long, right?
That's very long.
Yeah.
Most like at Zany's in Nashville, which is like a much, much better club. If you're like brand new to the open mic at there, you get like 90 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Really?
And then maybe 3 minutes, 8 minutes.
That's fucking
bananas.
insane
like
for like a new company.
For a brand new person.
Right.
Yeah. But I had plenty, because I've been thinking about it all for so long. I had no problem coming up with 8 minutes, but I just kept looking at it all, and I kept thinking, it's like, that's not a joke. Like that's that's a thing that I say that I think might be funny, but it ain't a joke. Are they supposed to be jokes? Right. Like just second guessing all of it, and nervous as hell. Got there, pounded like 2 whiskeys or whatever, and went up there and got laughs. Like the first thing I had actually ended up being something that I used for a long time. I think the very first joke I believe I ever told on stage that I ended up keeping around for a long time was something like, it's like this, I know I sound real rednecky. I'm from a real redneck town. Like y'all don't even know. Like I can't remember what the first 2 things were. It was something like I could drink ranch dressing through a straw, and all the sleeves fall off of my shirts as soon as I put them on, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the last thing was, and my mama, y'all, she cooks the best crystal meth you ever had in your life. And it was, and that was the very first like line I had, and it killed, like it did really well. And then, and I mean, that was pretty much that for me.
Then you got the confidence.
Yeah. Then I was hooked like pretty immediate. Like as soon as that happened, I was like, yep, this is awesome. I thought it would be, and it is. And then that, now all these years later, I take a lot of it for granted, but that like actually killing in front of like a good crowd still is just the best. As I'm sure you guys know.
Yeah. It's like that high that you keep chasing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of like,
but yeah, then I just started after that. I was like, oh, I'm definitely, and then after that, I don't think I missed an open mic at Side Splitters for like the next 2 years or something.
Oh, really?
But also in that time, and for like the first year and a half, because at first I thought, even though I again had been wanting to do this for so long, I still didn't really know shit about it. I thought this is how it's supposed to go. For the first probably year at that open mic every 2 weeks, I did a new 8 minutes every time.
Holy shit.
Like I said, I had this big backlog of shit I wanted to try, but also I was like, that's what open mics are for. That's the whole point. Like you just, they're for doing, and that's not necessarily the case, especially when you're new. You should be like, you have something that kind of works. You should be like honing it, but I didn't know that. So I was just writing new shit every 2 weeks, and like, which ended up helping me a lot also. But in that first year, had nothing to do with me. Coincidentally, this guy moved to Knoxville who started producing like alt comedy shows. So like boat shark shows in bars and things like that.
Yeah.
His name was Matt Ward. And by within a year of when I started, like I said, when I very first started, if you wanted to try stand-up comedy, you could go to Side Splitters open mic, 2 Wednesdays a month. That was it. And within a year, you could get on stage. You could get stage time as a comedian 6 days a week. A year later, because of that was actually the beginning of this new comedy boom. And even in a place like Knoxville, it was just kind of blowing up, in that more people were doing it, and more people were booking their own shows. And don't get me wrong, a lot of those shows were like rough. There was like one of them was at a swingers bar every Thursday.
Oh, Andy's always going to be a comic now.
Hey, I'm coming.
I got 2 minutes.
Trey. I got 2 minutes.
2 minutes in the swingers club.
But it's still like, it was good. It was fun. I was like, I was pretty good, relatively speaking, pretty immediately, meaning like, compared to the level I was at. Like for a new comic, I was a really good new comic. And then when I was like a host, like I was still a host, could not have been a headliner, but I was a really good host. And then it just sort of progressed from there,
As a host, you're kind of curating the night. What if you're killing it and then you just like have to hand it off to people who just fucking bomb, and then you have to, what's your approach on that? To keep the vibe going for like when you're hosting,
or following someone that bombed,
or following someone that bombed.
Well, yeah, it's kind of two different things. If you're the host, well, first of all, when I became a host, I mean I was mostly. I did host shows like you're thinking of and talking about, where it's like a showcase show of a bunch of different comedians doing shorter sets. But I was like the house emceeing at Side Splitters, so it was mostly like I'm the host. There's a middle act, a feature comedian, and then the headliner.
Yeah,
and these two are like professionals who have been booked here at the club, and so like they're always
pros,
good, but I have done shows like you're talking about where it's a showcase, there's a bunch of people and I'm hosting it, and some of them are terrible, and it's like you try to get one quick line in off of something they say, or just sort of acknowledge what happened and make it funny, but then just move on, because it's kind of a faux pas in the comedy world to still, some people do it, but it's kind of a faux pas for the host to, you do your set up top, but then for the rest of the show, you just get up there, you bring the one guy down, you pretty much bring the next person up. You just keep the show moving. Yeah. If a host goes up there and then just starts doing another 5 minutes of material in between every comic, the other comics on the show,
they're like,
hate
what the
that
fuck?
Shit.
Yeah.
They're like, what is this fucking guy doing? So like, you don't really do that in that scenario. You just try to keep the show going. But following someone who bombs hard, again, you try to make some kind of crack about something they said without, I don't ever want to like shit talk anybody really, because like we've all bombed before.
Right.
But so like if there's something you could say that's kind of funny that breaks the ice, and then just try to just get right into what you do and hopefully get them back. And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't,
Yeah. You ever get booked on the wrong gig and just like your material is just not hitting, like corporate gig or like,
oh yeah. What's corporate gigs?
What's the worst one?
Here comes the guy that loves taxes.
Yeah.
What was the worst one?
The first thing that popped in my head was just because I'm just not. As soon as I got there, I was like, "Well, I ain't right for this." I got booked on a show at you probably know, the Soho House.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I got booked at a comedy show at the Soho House, and I got booked on Soho House. For people that don't know, it's like fancy private club for
slash hotel.
Hollywoody people or whatever. And it's like, I'm just not. I'm up there doing my fucking trailer humor or whatever, and they're just confused the whole time. But and then but corporate shows, it wasn't the worst because it actually ended up going okay. But the strangest probably was that I was booked to be the entertainment at a little private party for just the board of directors of Al Gore's company.
Oh, whoa.
And it's like, so it's 12 people around a big long dinner table, right? So there's just 12 people sitting at the dinner table, and I'm standing at the head of it telling jokes, right? It's really fucking weird, but just a weird setup. I mean, but Al Gore like introduced me so everybody knew what was about to happen.
Oh, it's
and
sick.
he said like, I love this guy. I think he's so great, whatever. So I think from that point on, all those people were never gonna not laugh at me.
They have
you
to.
understand what I'm saying?
Well, the guy invented the internet.
Because the boss guy was like signed off on me.
Yeah.
The way corporate culture is, they were always going to be like, oh yeah, I love that guy. He's great. Even if they were like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
So that one actually went okay. But I've done corporates, like I did the National Trial Lawyers Convention. I was entertainment at that. They could not have given less of a fuck.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens at the corporate shows. Is also the people who book them, they don't know anything about like comedy at all.
Right.
So you're in like a brightly lit conference room that's like, the PA system is shitty. Like their people are around round tables, so half of them have their back to you. Like stuff like it's just not set up right. And also, comedy ain't like music, and like everybody
Right.
get down to music, you know, here and there. Like even if it's just a background thing for them, it's like, oh, that's cool. No one's like, what the fuck is this? If somebody starts like, you know, playing some live music,
you got to be awful for that to happen. Yeah,
right. But yes, as long as they're good. But for comedy though, it's like you really gotta sign up for that. Like you really gotta be. You gotta know that comedy should not happen to a crowd, right?
Right.
And sometimes it kind of does, and it's very rare that it works in that scenario because people have to be in the right mood for it. They can't just be accosted with surprise comedy, which is what so many of those old bar shows used to be.
I bet, dude.
And so
trying to watch the game.
Oh, that yes, you do.
Volunteers are on.
They'd have the damn game on, like with the sound on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, people were watching it while you're up there,
just start
talking
on
about
Kentucky.
your dick or whatever.
Yeah. I got a sidebar question. Thinking about LA, do people stereotype you because of your Southern accent that you're just like a Trumper and you're
what usually happens, they're kind of subtle about it, but I know for a fact that's what's happening. It's the way it usually goes, because I take a lot of Ubers and shit like to the airport, because I'll fly out of one and into a different one, so I can't park or whatever. So I take a lot of Ubers and Lyfts and shit like that. If people hear immediately, as soon as they hear my accent, like, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from Tennessee originally. And then if they then go like, oh man, I love Tennessee. I've been thinking about moving to Tennessee. Right? And I'm like, oh yeah. If they say that, I usually know that they're about to start like testing the waters. With some of their MAGA
they do not
shit,
like Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, exactly.
They are not Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, it's like, man, all these goddamn homeless around here. I swear to God, this fucking, nobody wants to work anymore. Crime all over the place, all that type of shit.
Saying like, I hate the blacks.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't go that hardcore with it. Although a lady did hit me with that in Denver. She didn't say she said Black Lives Matter was ruining Denver,
which is
what she told me. But and it was. I know that it's because they hear my accents, and then I say I'm from Tennessee, and they're like, "This guy's probably cool." Start being openly racist. We actually me and the guys I toured with, Corey and Drew, who are also liberal Southern comedians. We did a series of sketches for Comedy Central Digital, like Comedy Central's online, their YouTube channel. And one of the sketches was actually, that was like the premise of it, was like people in bars hearing our accent and taking that as a license to then just, be racist and shit. That's funny. Because it does happen a lot.
Do you get death threats?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I do. I stopped like reading all of that a long time ago because it wasn't just like death threats. It was also like, shit about my wife and kids or that sort of thing. Like stuff that was way beyond the pale. You can call me whatever slur you want to. I don't really give a fuck. But like that was too much. So like I don't like DMs and shit. Like if I get like on Instagram DMs and stuff, if it's from somebody with a check mark or something, like I'll be like, okay, what's this about? Or it's like you can kind of see the beginning of the message.
Yeah.
And so I'll sort of judge it on that. If it seems to be some shit talk, is still queer, that type of thing, I just don't. I just don't open it.
In Indiana, that's like a nice greeting. That's how we say hi to our friends.
Well, that is. I mean, yes, that's true too. But I don't know these people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
no, you say that to your buddy. That's fine.
That's I love you where I come from.
Yes, absolutely.
So, like, when you're touring these southern markets, do people like that don't know your comedy, like, are they offended, or because everyone's so sensitive now when you talk politics? Yeah, it's true in comedy, right?
Yeah, mostly the people who come to my shows are like fans of mine, which means that they're like on board. Every now and then, people will show up just to watch a comedy show, which to me is crazier than you'd think, because like as a comedian, that blows my fucking mind. Because comedians are so different and comedy's so subjective. Like I would never, because they have to buy a ticket, and so I would never buy a ticket for a comedian without at least doing a cursory Google or whatever, you know what I mean? Like to see. because it's not hard to do. I mean, you could figure out what I'm about pretty immediately if you look me up. But people do it. People show just for a date night or whatever. They'll just buy it. Let's go see a comedy show. Don't even look up who the comedian is, and it happens to be me.
That's insane.
And sometimes, no, it is insane. I agree.
Insane,
I don't even feel that bad about it because I'm like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you that you would do like that's just to me that's a crazy move. But but it does happen, and they, sometimes every now and then, especially depending on where I'm at, it's like a delightful surprise to this person.
Yeah.
Every now and then, like luck of the draw, they're like I had no idea who you were, but that was right up my alley. And other times they're like, fuck this, I want my money back and we're leaving. Or they
walk off.
Oh yeah, it's called walking tables or walking people is what we call it. Yeah, you can but you can walk half the crowd sometimes, but
really
not.
If you're good enough.
Not for. I mean, it happens, but not usually on my tour or my shows because
fans.
There's not that most. It's a table or two of people like this who don't know who I am, and again, sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes even they don't like it. They like sit there cross-armed and.
Which is worse than leaving.
I agree. That's what I was about to
Passive
say.
aggressive.
I'd rather you leave. Just get up and fucking leave. If you're just going to sit there in the front row staring at me, giving me the stink eye the whole time.
Right.
But yeah, you never know. It's like I said, I just don't. It's just a wild move to me in this era. I get like back in the day. I get the expectation. Let's go to the comedy club and funny stuff will happen. First, and I am saying funny stuff. It's just like you said.
Yeah.
It people are sensitive to certain things. And I don't even talk, I don't do just political comedy either, by the way. I'd say only 10-15% of my act is political in nature, but I do talk about it a little bit. And the stuff that I talk is, pretty clear which side I'm on. And to some people, that's just like a deal breaker. It's like, even if they would love I've had people say on the internet and comments and shit, like not fans, obviously, but people see my stuff that say versions of like, I want to like this guy so bad because I'm from the South and I love his accent. A lot of his like Southern references and that type of thing are just so spot on and great, but he's just such a fucking idiot or whatever. Right. Politics. He's just so wrong about everything, like that type of thing.
That's such a Southern post.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, bless his heart. He's such a sweet guy, but fuck this guy.
I've also noticed that like people are like, keep politics out of it as long as it's like not their politics. Like,
right.
They don't mind if politics are in it if they agree, but if they're not in it.
They want the politics to be in it. If they
exactly.
Agree,
So
right.
What's the problem with the echo chamber of social media? I'm glad you're not listening to that shit. Because like everyone just listens to what they want to hear and nothing else. So no one is actually having conversations with how other people who don't agree with you act. I think that's the problem with society right now is no one's listening to the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I definitely think the bubbles that people live in are a real big problem. And it's not just social media. I mean, it's like cable news and shit, podcasts, all that.
Right.
Like
schools, districts.
People curate their own reality now. And that didn't used to be possible, really. We all like shared a reality for unless you were fucking schizophrenic or something. But now but now your reality can be whatever you want it to be. Like whatever you like want to believe, you can find sources for that will like back that up for you and will agree with you. And that's what people do. And yeah, I think it's a huge problem. I try to, I follow. I honestly, I don't even really use social media that much anymore. Like I post on it, but I don't I don't spend much time on it. But when I did, like I went out of my way to follow people that like I don't agree with or like, because to me, it's like, hell, you should at least want to kind of keep tabs on them, shouldn't you? Like, you know what I mean? Like I want to know what's going on over there.
Right.
So
keep your enemies close.
Yeah, right.
Your friends close and your enemies closer, or whatever they say.
Yeah, so I've never really understood the desire to just surround yourself with like, only shit you agree with all the time. But it's definitely a real thing. And I think it's a pretty major problem, really. Yeah. But I don't know how to fix it. I feel like that genie's kind of out of the bottle, you know.
I think it's
I don't know.
You keep de-stereotyping Southern culture. That's what you got to do. That's what you're doing, bro. They think you're like some redneck fucking Republican and you're throwing it on their face, like saying, stop judging books by its cover. We all have different opinions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that is my kind of, I don't consider myself as having any kind of real like mission, but a lot of times my more liberal fans and stuff will think that like they think that like what I'm trying to do is like change people's hearts and minds, right? And it's like, but they mean get some other like MAGA-y redneck to change their way, to see the light.
Yeah.
Come over here, the light's like change their opinions politically. But that's not, I never think about that. That's not my
Right.
because I know
luck.
that's like, I know that's a lost cause.
Exactly.
Like you can't,
Right.
and I know that, so I don't care about that at all. But what I do kind of care about, and I know that happens all the time because people tell me all the time, is that I do change people's opinions of like where I'm from or people who sound like me. Like I meet people all the time at like in Portland or in LA or San Francisco or wherever, just anywhere outside the South, who are now fans of mine who say some version of like, you made me kind of feel like a dick for what I thought about the South because I thought everybody like you was a certain way. I didn't know that there were other types of people, which to me is such an insane thing to think. I understand that stereotypes.
It's like, is everybody in Portland then?
Yeah,
God
right.
damn
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
are
people. It's also these are always coastal liberals saying this to me. And they also are completely oblivious to like how like that's a form of prejudice.
Yeah,
and bigotry
for sure.
That they're,
For sure.
That's being closed-minded, which they hate, right? But they don't see it in themselves when it comes to that version of it. I'm saying, I just through being who I am, I make some of these people see that, and that I do, care about that. So yeah.
Well, you're doing the Lord's work, brother. We're huge fans of you. I think you're the man, and you're fucking hilarious, and just keep being you. And
well, thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
tell those
to
pieces
come
of
out-
shit
to
in
come to a
LA
show
to stop.
sometime.
You come
Tell
to
the
Denver?
pieces of shit in LA.
You come to Denver soon?
Yeah, we live in Denver.
It's weird. My buddy who lives in Denver was just texting me today, asking me when are you coming back to Denver, and I told him that reminded me I need to check in with my agent because I've been actively working on figuring out the next Denver date. So I mean, even if we booked it today, it wouldn't be until the end of this year, probably.
What's it?
But,
Comedy
like,
Works? You go to Comedy Works?
Yeah, Comedy Works is maybe the best comedy club in the country.
I
People
agree.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the I have a couple more questions. I'll let you go. I know you're busy. What's the deal with Denver Everyone loves the Denver Comedy Works.
Yeah,
What do
it's
you love about it?
Break it down for
It's
some
just-
musicians.
Yeah, break it down for musicians.
The room is like perfect, like the makeup of the room and everything, and the acoustics in there, and also it's just one of those like there's just. I'm assuming, because I'm not from Denver, and I only came to Comedy Works for the first time 7-8 years ago when it was already established as one of the best clubs in the country. But like, I assume they've just cultivated a like clientele or whatever you want to put it there. There's just a culture there of like, just every crowd is just red fucking hot at that club, and every comedian says the same thing. It's one of those. It's a club that's like very few are like this, but it's almost bomb proof.
Right.
Basically.
Interesting.
Like
Right.
it's just the atmosphere is just like crackling in there. It's like the crowds are always just great and hot as hell, and and the room is great, and the club is great, the staff is great, the management, like the people. That's the number one thing with comedy clubs. The people that own it and run it, if they actually like and care about comedy,
That helps.
which I know you think like, why would someone own a comedy club? It doesn't give a fuck about comedy, but it happens all the time.
Habits of music too.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does. Well, they're just like business people or whatever that they don't give a fuck about the actual thing itself. But like at places like Comedy Works, they do, and you can tell.
Yeah.
And every club, all of my favorite clubs, which are like Comedy Works, Zanies in Nashville, the DC Improv, they're this small club in Burlington, Vermont, the Vermont Comedy Club. They all have
I heard
that
that's
in
great.
common.
Really?
Yeah, I heard that
It
one's
is.
great.
It's awesome.
What
And
about that one in
it's all-
Bloomington? The Comedy Attic? You been there?
Bloomington,
Indiana?
Which Bloomington, Indiana. No, I know that's. Don't they have a comedy festival there? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I never actually made it through there, but I know about that one, and it's supposed to be real good too.
What are LA crowds like for you?
They're hit or miss.
Yeah.
I'd say that it's actually kind of. Usually, it's like it's a little divided. There's a certain every LA show I start immediately with something about my accent, meaning like basically first thing I say to them is like, this is real, right? Because like in LA specifically,
Jesus
on and off stage, people all the time think that I'm doing I don't know if they think I'm a fucking a method actor who's getting ready to play a possum detective or some shit. But like they just think that I'm faking this accent.
Possum detective.
So
that's
and
so
that happens
fucking
in
LA,
audiences
dude.
too. Because the audience are sitting there thinking like, because this is LA shit. Like this happens. They're like, is this like a character thing? You know what I mean? Like, is he doing some kind of character? So I just start with like, I'm from here. That's why I sound like this. Whatever. Like I just want you. This is how I am. And then I just get into my stuff, and it's like there's usually a contingent of people in the crowd who are like, and I'm only counting people who don't know who I am, like who are just being introduced to this. There's usually a contingent who's like, oh, I get what this guy's thing is, and I'm on board with that, right?
Yeah.
And they love it. And then there's usually a contingent of a crowd in LA that's kind of like, what is happening?
I'm so high.
And so it kind of comes down to what the ratio of those two contingents is. You know what I mean? If it's like a higher level of the first group, then, it can be great and I can absolutely destroy. If it's a higher ratio of the second group, then it's pretty mediocre at best. I've had awesome shows at like the Hollywood Improv and stuff, and I've had real bad ones, and then I've had a lot of in between too. Yeah. So it just depends.
Yeah, one of my closest friends, Todd Glass, and
I love Todd.
Yeah, man.
He's always funny.
He's the fucking man.
He's incredible.
He's a stickler about rooms, like how the lights are. I mean, I took him on tour and shit, and like
he opened our podcast tour,
and he was putting tinfoil on the lights and shit.
He's like very meticulous about all that stuff. He's got the way he likes it for sure.
Well, Trae, thanks so much for being on the show. I know it's been an hour. I know you got to do your thing.
It was a good time, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're big fans. Keep the dream alive. I think,
like I said, it's so you guys are in Denver. I don't know. Like I said, if you're touring or whatever, I'll come out to a show sometime. We're likewise if you want to.
Oh, totally. Like, we do Red Rocks and stuff, and LA we play like Troubadour or
love Troubadour. Yeah. Okay.
Well, Southern. So, do you know Widespread Panic?
Yeah, my dad, may he rest in peace, was a big Widespread Panic.
Hell yeah.
That's our scene. We're like jam band
world.
We're jam band world.
Okay, right on. Yeah, my dad, I don't know how many shows he went to, but it was a lot.
That's that type of thing. I mean, that's Tennessee and Georgia's.
There's nothing else to do, man.
That's Tennessee and Georgia's fucking band,
Yeah.
The
fish of the South.
The fish of the South.
The fish of the South.
Once you get below the Mason-Dixon, you're in panic country.
Yeah, you're in panic country.
I thought that was just, catfish, but also.
Another band.
Panic.
All right, buddy. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Keep kicking ass out there. We'll be rooting you on, bud.
All right. But I also just wanted to say, because I'm so bad at this, I forgot to say, I think, anybody's listening wants to check me out. I have a new special called Trash Daddy on YouTube. And also, if you want to see me on the road, TraeCrowder.com has all my dates. So
there he is.
Thank you guys.
Trae, good luck out there, buddy. Have a good day.
Appreciate it. See y'all.
Later, buddy.
Good one.
You've just tuned in to the World Saving Podcast with Andy Frasco, produced by Andy Frasco, Joe Angelhow, and Chris Lorenz. Please help us save the world by subscribing and rating the show on volume.com, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're listening so we can spread the word and save the world. Follow us on Instagram at World Saving Podcast for updates, for tour dates, merch, and whatever crazy special event Andy thinks of next. Check out andyfrasco.com.